Hey, folks, welcome here to the next installment of Disgruntled. I want to thank you, as always, for joining us. As I've described before, it is a humbling experience to be a part of this show, to be here and provide content on a weekly basis. It gives me joy to see that people are interacting. Maybe it's my own way of continuing to serve. Before we get on with the show, I would like to mention that we have plans to do big things, big, great things with this platform that we are trying to build. So if you wouldn't mind, if you enjoy the content, please drop us a like, a subscribe, and share this content. You know, send a show to a friend, a colleague, a family member, a neighbor, anybody you think who might agree or disagree, for that matter. It brings pretty good good conversation. We don't mind that at all, and we hope to grow the show and to spread the platform. And also drop us a like and subscribe if you would. It would really help us to be able to continue to build this thing. So enough about that. Let's get on to why we're here. And I know that we are now a week removed from the the travesty, the debacle that was the presidential debate last week. And I felt compelled to do a reaction to the debate. However, I felt that every content creator on the planet was doing a reaction to the debate. And so I thought that I would let them do that and kind of lay back and just see where it went. And I kind of developed my own thought about it. I don't think that we need to discuss the debate. I think it's been beaten to death. I think that before the event happened, we already knew what it was going to be like. I think we knew that it was going to be a travesty. I don't think that anybody was surprised. But here's where it kind of nips me in the buds, if you will. What really gets to me is what we as a country, as a society, what we are displaying. What we are displaying to the world. And as I watched it, I was thinking about who else in the world is watching this thing. And the answer to that is probably a whole shitload of people. Definitely foreign leaders, foreign dignitaries, terrorist groups, people that mean us harm, people at the southern border, or those that supply people at the southern border. A lot of people are watching everything that's happening with those two men. And that's what really, really kind of irks me, is that after that debacle, there is still this huge discussion about whether or not the man can perform the job. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. And of course, we were talking about the debate, and he asked me the question, well, so what did you think? Did you watch it? Yeah, I watched it. And I think that it was absolutely atrocious. And so the conversation continued, and I was asked, well, what do you think is like the biggest difference between the two, other than the fact that President Biden can't seem to put a series of words together without mumbling or looking confused? He can't stand and listen and be part of a conversation without looking like he is loading his trousers up with fecal matter. And he just looks lost and incompetent and unable to to carry the title as the leader of the free world, if that's still what they call the United States president. And then I think about what the person in that chair has to do on a daily basis. I think about the decisions that have to be made, sometimes quickly, but not only the decisions that have to be made, but also the information that needs to be gathered in order to make said decisions. Like, what's the failure rate? What's the success rate of any given plan? And even if we have a high success rate, what's going to happen to anybody that falls short of that success rate? I mean, I think that we all know that you can't save everybody. You can't help everybody all the time. You can't break everybody free of whatever the given problem is. But I also really, really, really am adamant that our president be able to be strong and look strong in front of the world. For example, in times of war. In times when the safety and security of the United States citizens and the people who were born in this land, the people who call this place home by birthright, and the immigrants that came to this country the legal way, that went through everything they had to go through to carry the title United States citizen. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people in general amongst all of those groups. So when these decisions about war, these decisions about borders, these decisions that involve other world leaders that are tense, that can play out in a dangerous manner, don't we want our leader to be the kind of guy that's going to sit forward in his chair and look our enemy leaders, or just any other leader, enemy or not, in the eyes and tell them what it's going to be, how it's going to go, and what they're going to do if they want our support or if they want us to leave them alive or leave them be, or whatever the case may be. Give them the terms and conditions and leave the rest to them. And if those terms and conditions are not met, follow through with what you say you're going to do. Because we live in a time where there's a lot of calling of bluffs. A lot of people calling the bluff of powers that be, and they get away with it. It happens all the time. Don't we want somebody sitting in that office that is going to look those folks in the eye and give them the information they need to save their people, and whether it be saving their lives, saving their infrastructure, providing them the aid they need to survive, whatever it is the situation calls for, whatever they need. Don't we want our leader to be able to tell them, if you need this from us, this is what you're going to do or not do, or you're going to suffer the consequences? Like the dad that's too strict. Isn't that the type of leadership that we want in the Oval Office? the type of leader that is looking out for America first? Don't we want a guy or gal in that seat that is not to be fucked with? I do. And then people will ask things like, well, Donald Trump just, he just says off the wall stuff. Maybe he does. Maybe he does say off the wall stuff. Maybe he's smug. Maybe he's narcissistic. Maybe he is all those things. Maybe he's an asshole. But none of that is illegal. It's not illegal to be an asshole. It's not illegal to be smug. Or maybe he's extremely confident. Maybe he's extremely patriotic. Maybe he's the kind of guy that wants all of us as a country to have it as good as we possibly can. But remember that we as American people also need to live by a set of rules. We need to operate by a set of rules. We also have to do the right thing. I believe that coinciding with each other is a team game. And if you've ever been on a team playing sports in your work, there's a lot of teamwork going on in corporate America today and elsewhere. I suppose in the trades there's a lot of teamwork. I don't know. I've never been in the trades. But I think that we all need to pitch in. We all need to do our part. And if we do, I think that life would be a little bit better for all of us. And it's going to take time. It's going to take some patience. But we have to start at a place where we know that outside influences are not going to tear us down. We don't want to live in fear. For those of us who are living in fear every day, we want to get a grip on the mental health issues in this country today. We want to get a grip on the corruption in this country today. We want to get a grip on the sissification of our youth in this country today. We want to get rid of the hate for America amongst Americans in this country today. There's a whole lot of things that we want to get rid of or make better. And it just seems like there's not enough people that agree with the idea that we're broken to begin with, or broken in a way that needs significant change. I think that a person like, if not Donald Trump, but a person like him is exactly what this country needs. Part of the things I worry about is when he wins in November and we're at this place in 4 years or 3.5 years and the man can't be reelected, and probably for good reason because he'll be old as hell. Then what? Who's the next person to take the spot? But before we continue down, on Tuesday, I was just browsing through YouTube and things like that, just to be, I watch different podcasts and different videos just to kind of stay abreast of what's going on. One show that's kind of come up more in my feed and actually has some pretty good content is a show by a woman called, her name is Sage Steele. And she had Byron Donalds and Wesley Hunt on. It was Tuesday, if I remember right. They're both members of Congress, one from Florida, the other from Texas. They're black men, and they're Republicans. And I wanted to play a small clip from her interview with these two men. And I was completely taken back because everything I just told you about the things I had been thinking about Trump being the guy to sit forward and look these people in the eye and tell them what's what is kind of what these guys are talking about. And so I want to share it with you. It's 2 or 3 minutes long. So let's check it out. And then when it's over, we'll discuss it some more. Here we go.
Joe Biden, the man is awful. He's terrible at this job. America knows he's terrible.
He is terrible
at
at the job.
This is not a conversation.
We have lost 7
Check this out.
United States embassies under his presidency.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So we have embassies all over the world in
Yes.
every country. That is essentially sovereign American
Mercosur.
territory. Under his watch, we have had to evacuate 7 United States embassies.
I did not know
that.
that.
Has never happened in American history.
That's how weak we
Never.
are. That's how weak we
That's
are
how
right now.
weak we are on the world stage.
What?
This is, folks, this is Americans giving up ground. We have given up our own land. Yeah, it's in a foreign country, but it's our land. We're giving it up. We're giving up strategic positions. We're giving up strongholds. We're giving up all kinds of things.
That's how bad it
And
is.
okay, help me. Why has that happened? Why are we evacuating? Because there's no protection. There's no
I'm
fear.
gonna
They're
say
gonna.
I'm gonna say real quickly,
Go
and
ahead.
I'm gonna give it to
Yeah,
Wesley.
yeah.
When you are weak and our adversaries know you're weak, they push you. It's no different than the bully in the schoolyard. If you're timid and the bully knows he can get away with it, what happens? He comes for your lunch money every single week,
does.
every single day,
Until you punch back.
until you punch back. We have been weak under Joe Biden. And so our adversaries around the globe, big and small, know that they can push us. Go ahead, Wesley, you go. You can talk.
I'm gonna give you my favorite
Pass it on,
President
brother.
Trump story. This is my #1 favorite of all time.
There you
When we
go.
were negotiating with the Taliban, while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we will start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And
Perfect.
translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell
Say
him.
it.
Translate.
Yes.
Tell them what I said.
Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength.
There it is.
That's what I'm talking about. And so you could imagine that kind of sentiment being around the world. If we have an embassy in another country, no one's going to touch it because they're going to be fearful that they'll get a Moab on their head. That's how President Trump rolls. This is the opposite of strength. This is the definition of weakness. And so now we're being feasted upon by other countries when our embassies are there because the Americans aren't going to do anything about it and they don't want us there anyway. But the point of us having an embassy there and the point of us having sovereign American soul is to be able to keep an eye on the world to a certain extent, to have that presence. But you can't have that presence when you have feckless leadership.
There it is. The man, the man reached in his suit coat, folks. Took out a picture of the man's house and told him, I'm going to kill you. Harm one American. I dare you. We're going to leave. We're going to leave your land. But go ahead and harm one American while we do that. I'm going to kill you, your family, and everything you hold dear will be obliterated from the face of this earth. 18 months. We lost no soldiers in Afghanistan. Isn't that the type of leadership that we want? And this man, Congressman Wesley, was in the room. He was there. Who's going to say he's lying? I'm sure, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people, I'm sure, are going to say he's lying. And Byron Donald, you saw the guy on the right. Rumor has it he's on the list to be one of the potential picks for vice president. I don't know if that's true or not. I just read that a week ago or so or something. So I guess that remains yet to be seen. But again, leadership that has the well-being of Americans in mind. It doesn't seem that difficult. Now, I will admit, it takes a huge set of balls on any man or any woman to sit down across from the leader of the Taliban. After we know everything that those people have done in different places across this world to bring terror. The people they've killed, the families they've destroyed, the complete existence of places they've destroyed, all that stuff. This guy sat across from him and told him, "I'll kill you." And I think that a lot of people in this country shake their heads and go, man, I don't know if that was a good move. And I think the reason for that is because a lot of people in this country have never been in a situation where they can understand how that works. People that have never been in this situation that can understand living or dying. There's a lot of people that sit up in their high towers in many suburban communities with big, beautiful homes and have never had enough life experience to know how ugly this world really can be, other than what they see on the TV or read on the internet. They don't know. Here on XM radio, on some XM radio channel, whatever it is, wherever they get their information, but they lack the life experience to know what a fine line between life and death really is. And when a man looks at you and you can tell that he ain't messing around and says, "Go ahead, you do it, I'll kill you." It's a pretty powerful statement. Especially when you're talking to the man who leads a group of the most psychotic killers maybe to ever roam the planet in this century, maybe. I don't know. There's been a lot of crazy people, a lot of crazy groups, and some pretty gnarly shit that's happened since this planet's been a planet that we know of anyway. That would make me feel secure because I believe that he would follow through. And so then it leads me to wonder, what is it about Joe Biden? Or what is it about the people in his camp that disagree with that type of leadership so much? Well, like, maybe there's a good explanation. But I'd like to know what that is. Because I don't know that you'll ever get me to agree or to understand why some of the things that are happening in our country today are even a thing if it's not for malicious reasons. If it's not for malicious purposes, why are these things happening? Like the border. Like cops getting killed and nobody talking about it or doing anything differently about it. Like our kids being snatched up and sold to pedophiles or put in work camps? Why are these not getting attention on a bigger stage? Why in the morning when I turn on the news, we're hearing about something that happened in the Rose Garden? Some dumb shit that the First Lady was doing in the Rose Garden. Why now, a week after the biggest debacle on a debate stage, are we still talking about the debate on the mainstream media? Everybody's seen it. Everybody knows that it was a travesty. Everyone knows that the man is not fit to be president. The man ain't fit to wipe his own ass. We're still talking about it. Meanwhile, we're still being invaded. The biggest infiltration effort probably in the history of our country is happening every single day. And we have men and women busting their asses at the southern border, trying to knock these numbers down, and they just keep coming. We stopped hearing about that. We stopped hearing about a lot of things. Now we're hearing all about hurricanes and weather and ceremonies and rose gardens and the debate from a week ago. And the fact that Biden's family is trying to talk him out of the race, and who gives a shit? Let the man run in the race. And then it makes me start thinking about all these conspiracies, like the election, for example. Does it really matter if we go vote as it relates to the result? Is my vote really going to count towards the result of the election? Or are they just going to put whoever they want in there anyway? Now, I seem to think that if you don't go vote, you should be ashamed of yourself. There's been way too many lives lost. There's been way too much work done for this right to vote to not do it. If you don't like either one of the candidates, then don't vote for them. Write in your own name. Write in your mom's name. Write in some name. Write in F off. Write in something. But be counted. In my opinion, especially if you're a lady, how many years ago was it if you would have showed up as a female to a polling station, that they would have told you to turn around and get out of here? You're not welcome. How many women got beat up and ostracized and disenfranchised and all these other things just to get the right to cast a vote? And now because we don't trust it, and understandably so, we're just going to not vote. It's irresponsible, and it's childish. So if you ask me, you get your ass out and you vote. Show up and go vote. At least be counted. You don't have to wear the dumb sticker. You don't have to vote for anybody on the ballot. You can write in every answer. You can write in every name. You don't even have to vote for the president. Vote for some judge. But get out and vote. I mean, if there's anything to take from all of this, I guess, it's that we have seen for sure, no matter what side of the argument you fall on, we have seen for sure that we can't continue on this path. I think that we have seen it, and I think that the evidence is all there. It's very clear that we cannot continue on this path. As the congressman said, we've lost all these embassies. Just in 3.5 short years. We've lost embassies all over the world. Not because we chose to close them down and leave. America got pushed out of its own home. That was our land. It was our area. And we got pushed out because they don't want us there. He's right. They probably don't want us there. But think about the other styles of leadership around the world. And not even the other styles of leadership, but the other ways of living. The other opportunities in different parts of the world. The other opportunities for men and women. The other opportunities for immigrants. The other opportunities for education, which probably isn't a good argument because I don't know that America's education system is all that great. I don't think it was in the past, and I don't think it is now. But it could be great. I think that we have quite a few teachers that really, really strive to provide our children with a good education. I also think we have a lot of teachers out there today that are complete idiots and should not be able to teach our children, along with administrators. But there's a lot of other things that go on in the world that I don't know that we want to be a part of. And so if America falls below places like China, for example, and we end up being followers to China, I can guarantee you one thing: China doesn't give a shit about women's rights. They don't give a shit about child labor laws. Do we want them to be a bigger superpower than we are? Are we even going that direction? All good things to think about. Who really knows? But I don't think that we're in a spot where we need to get comfortable with the idea that we need to give up our status on a world stage. Because I seem to think that when things are going good, life in America can be pretty great. But the problem has become that people around us don't want to put in their even due. They don't want to put in their share of the work. They don't want to shoulder their part of the burden. And we all have to carry something. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off base. But maybe that's the beauty of doing a show like this. And so hopefully this will spark discussion. I'd love to have a discussion about these types of things. A meaningful discussion, not a whose wiener is bigger discussion. I would like to find a place of understanding with people who are staunchly on the other side. Because I find it very hard to believe that there's really anybody that truly, at the bottom of their hearts, feels like the way that this country is going is okay and adequate. Especially if you're a middle class working American. And so then I start thinking about, well, maybe there's issues that are super important to other people that aren't important to me. And I'm sure that that's the case. But there's also all these issues that are common to everybody. Like, we all have to eat. We all have to wear clothes. We all have to put fuel in our vehicles. We all have to have shelter. We all have to have heat in our homes. There's just a lot of necessities on Maslow's hierarchy that we need to everybody needs. And when those basic needs become so inflated that you're working just for your basic needs, when just a few years ago you were working for your basic needs, but you also had the ability to maybe go on a vacation every other year for a week, or go away for a weekend every summer, or you were ready for a new vehicle and you get one that's a couple of years newer than what you could afford in the past, because, you know, things were a little bit cheaper and it was easier to afford those things. Or, you know, gas was cheap enough that maybe you can afford a car that's $8,000 more, because it's going to cost you, you know, $15 less every time you fill your gas tank. So that's going to be some more money in your pocket. I don't know, anything like that. Your grocery bill is going to be a lot cheaper, especially if you're a person that works your ass off and you got kids at home. And God forbid your kids are in hockey or baseball or soccer or football, swimming, some kind of activity that you also got to pay for, because all that shit's expensive too. And so I guess that's what I'm talking about. How can people that are in that situation be okay with the direction of the country as it sits today? And be supportive of that. And maybe there's a good reason. Maybe they have a great reason. I don't know. I find it hard to believe, but maybe there is a reason. I'd like to think that there is a way for all of us to be on the same page and be able to agree on some things. What I really dislike about election season is how much more divisive it makes our communities. Now, it didn't used to. I don't think that it used to. I think that there always have been people who are extremely into the election and the candidates and all the topics and all the issues and all the debates and all of this and all of that and going to knock on door and all this, everything. I used to work for a member of Congress doing VA and military casework and outreach. And so you get to kind of see how those people roll. And some of them are pretty intense, but none of them are over the top. And it seems that people on both sides of these arguments have gotten to be over the top. Like every now and then you see people arguing or hear of people arguing and you're wondering if one of them is going to if their heart is going to just blow up in their chest because they're so pissed off. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. These people are there to work for us. These people are elected to do what is in our best interest, we the people. And part of the problem is that we the people, I believe, to a certain extent, have stopped holding our elected officials accountable for the failures in which the failures in which they have. We also have not done a very good job at applauding the successes, although, in my opinion, some of them are pretty minute. But again, I don't look every day. I don't read every op-ed. I don't read every article. I don't watch every newscast. Who can? Because you will have a mental breakdown with 1,000% certainty. So that's my soapbox for the day. Please, if you have anything to add to the conversation, leave a comment. I'm always interested to see and hear those. I think that there's so many issues going on that communities don't talk about. I think people are scared. I shouldn't say scared, but people are nervous to talk about issues that are sensitive to them because they think that it's going to start a fight, or they think that they'll be judged or whatever. But the truth of the matter is this. Your belief structure, your belief system is what it is. I don't think that it's anything to be ashamed of. I will say that if your belief system is to support things like pedophilia, which seems to be an up-and-coming argument to have, I can't get down with that at all. And other things are extreme like that. I can't get down with those at all. But there's no reason that some of these things like immigration and inflation and agricultural issues and banking issues and veterans issues and, all the above, the economy, all that stuff, there's no reason why we as Americans shouldn't be able to have a conversation, even if we don't agree, and then go our separate ways and still be able to be cordial, still be friendly. Why is it a deal breaker? Why is my political views a deal breaker? I don't know. I wish I knew the answer to some of this stuff, because I think it would make life for some people close to me not a little bit easier. It would make their lives a little simpler, a little less anxious. But you can't save everybody. You can't help everybody. You can't agree with everybody. And that's in my opinion, that's the tragedy. So before we end, recap. What type of leader is it that you would like to have? Do we want a leader that's going to stumble, fill his trousers? Or do we want a guy that's going to sit forward in a chair and say, you do that, I'm going to kill you. Don't mess with the American people. Dare I say, an America first style of leadership. One that is not beholden to a bunch of puppeteers. The decision is ours, as they say. So, along with that, make a plan to get your ass out and vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, who you write in, what box you check. That doesn't matter. Be counted. Too many people have died or put in way too much work and suffering for us to have the right to vote, especially ladies, especially minorities. So let's do that. Let's get out and vote, and let's decide what type of leaders we want in positions of power in this country. Not just the president, but from the president all the way down to your school boards, your city councils, your mayors, your county commissioners, your state reps, your state senates, your governors, all these places. Think about the type of leadership that you want in all these places. And remember, even the small forms of government control a lot more of your life than the big guy in the Oval Office or the big lady in the Oval Office. Your county and city people control a lot more of your life. So just think about those things. Have a great evening. And I hope that you are having a safe and meaningful 4th of July. Take it easy. We'll see you next week. Good night.